Hey everyone, I'm back with another guide video, this time showing you guys gameplay on my AOTC kill of Heroic the Jailer. First off, I'll be going through my talents, conduits, and gear to give you all an overview of the build I used for this fight. For the talents, I went for the Cycle of Hatred build with Blind Fury, Insatiable Hunger, Unbound Chaos, Netherwalk, Cycle of Hatred, Master of the Glaive, and Demonic. This build is meant to maximize the uptime of your Sinful Brand dot on the boss by casting as much I-beams as possible, because with the Unity Legendary, the Venthyr Covenant Legendary allows you to extend the Sinful Brand dot with I-beams. Cycle of Hatred helps with this because whenever you press Chaos Strike or Annihilation when you're meted, there's a chance to reduce the cooldown of I-beam and thus increase the amount of times you can I-beam. For my conduits, I went for the Nausea single target build with double potency, endurance, and finesse. You can place these conduits in whatever order you like, but key ones here would be the Growing Inferno, Relentless Onslaught, and Fell Defender, which gives you much more uptime on damage and defensives, so definitely take these. Lastly, this is my gear. Nothing noteworthy, as long as you have around 270 eye level gear, tier set, and double legendary, you should be fine for this boss. I ran the Collective Anguish legendary because the Fell Devastation from the Allied Vengeance Demon Hunter also extends the Sinful Brand duration, and the 4-set Havoc DH tier set also reduce the cooldown Metamorphosis with more fury spent. So if you have that 4-set, that allows you to meta 3 times during the duration of the fight, 1 on each phase. So it's pretty handy in extending the brand as well. Alright, on to the gameplay. So when you begin the fight, you'd want to instantly cast Sinful Brand followed by an I-beam into a meta I-beam to increase the brand duration to over 30 seconds. You should activate any unused trinkets and battle pots that you might have on pull as well. The first mechanic you have to take note of here is Torment, which is essentially a small explosion around you and other players, so just spread for that and it shouldn't hurt that much. After that, you'd want to clump for the tank combo called Martyrdom. Everyone needs to soak this. The more people soaking this, the less damage it does to individual players. There's also a knockback afterwards, so watch out for that. Don't fall over the edge or to any of the empty pylons. Typically, you'd want to save your Blur and Darkness for this since it hits quite hard and leaves a nasty dot, as well as any healing cooldowns from any of your healers. The Jailer will then cast Chains of Oppression, which is a slow that you have to get out of. I would recommend committing Fell Rush or utilize a raid-wide speed boost like Windrush Totem or Druid Roar for that, because it really hurts if you don't get out. After that, you'd want to LOS behind the pillar, because the Jailer will cast Relentless Domination, which is a mind control if you do not LOS it. If you get MC'd, then the other players in the raid will have to kill you and basically be a player down for the rest of the fight, so you don't want to get MC'd. There's a weak aura for this which shows the exact timing for when to LOS, which I will link in the description down below. You will then repeat these mechanics for the rest of phase 1. However, if you get the bombs mechanic, which can also happen at any point during the fight, you need to jump down one of the empty pylons. There's a weak aura that provides a specific timing for when to jump, which I will link in the description down below, because if you jump too early, you will not end up getting bombed, and you will just fall down the hole and you would die. Once you hit phase 2, there will be a couple of changes to the earlier mechanics. First, Torment now leaves a puddle which will explode after a couple seconds, so make sure to move out of your own puddle after it explodes. Second, he casts a knockback called Decimator, so make sure to watch your positioning. You can also fall into the Heart of Azeroth, which is the center of the room. It's pretty much empty, even though there's like a dome over it. The next major mechanic in Phase 2 is called Rune of Compulsion, where the Jailer marks players with runes atop of their head, much like in Phase 1 for the bombs. But, instead of jumping into an empty pylon, players with this mark should clump together in front of the Jailer. They will then be mind-controlled and should be killed. After they are killed, they will return to normal and can continue fighting the Jailer. So this is the part where the player who gets MC'd can still come back. In case your group is having difficulty CCing the MC'd players, you would want to save two things. First, as a DH, you want to save your Chaos Nova, because this can group-wide stun the MC'd players, and your second Metamorphosis during the second phase to help stun the MC'd players. As if they aren't CC'd, they can try to run off the edge of the room and die. Just rinse and repeat this phase for the next 2 to 3 minutes, and we're on to phase 3 when 3 pylons reach the center of the room. The raid should then be lusting in the start of phase 3, so make sure to have your battle pots, trinket, and meta ready for the lust part of phase 3. Just like phase 2, Decimator still happens with a knockback, so take note of that. The first major mechanic though in phase 3 is called Defile, where the Jailer will mark a spot on the ground with a black puddle. Players need to move out of that quickly, otherwise it will quickly spread to the rest of the room, wiping the raid. There is a way to bait the Defile position with a WeakAura, which I will link in the description down below. Next, you will get 2 major mechanics together. The first is Azeroth Soak, which is a blue line that everyone in the raid group needs to soak with defensives. Alongside that, a couple of players will get chains. When you get the chains, it is best to break it after the Azeroth Soak so that healers can spread out their CDs and not get overwhelmed right away. Similarly, just like in phase 2, you will still get Torment Explosion with the puddle afterwards. But unique to this phase is after the puddle explodes, an ad will also spawn, which casts Cry of Loathing, which needs to be interrupted. Otherwise, everybody in the raid will get a 10% haste decrease, which stacks per Cry of Loathing that gets uninterrupted. So make sure to interrupt the ads and kill them down quickly, they're very low health. Afterwards, a blue circle will appear in 2 raid members, which needs to be soaked by the group. Make sure to soak only 1 blue circle because it will be very difficult for the healers to heal you through 2 soaks. Make sure to heal yourself as well using Warlock Rocks or Health Potions if you can during this phase, because if your debuff does not get topped off, you will get MC'd, and obviously your teammates will have to kill you, but this time if you die to this MC, there's no way to come back, you have to get a B-res. And that's basically it for phase 3. Just rinse and repeat till you kill the Jailer. And that's it! Defeating the Jailer on Heroic difficulty will reward you with the Karasinized Xerath Steed Mount and the AOTC Feat of Strength. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and best of luck in your raids.